Ethan Caldwell had always lived in the background. He wasn't particularly good-looking, nor was he the kind of person people gravitated toward. In an office full of ambitious social employees, he was the quiet one who kept to himself. He had been working at Grayson & Company, a real estate management firm, for over a decade, yet few of his colleagues could say much about him beyond the fact that he was reliable and always on time. Ethan liked numbers. Unlike people, numbers were predictable. They followed rules. They didn't gossip, judge, or disappoint. That was why he had pursued a career in accounting. It was safe, structured, and logical. But life had a cruel way of making him feel invisible. His boss, Mr. Grayson, barely acknowledged him. Office parties came and went, with Ethan always standing at the edges, sipping from a plastic cup, never quite included. His personal life was no different. No wife, no children, just a tiny apartment in the city with a cat named Felix for company. Then, one fateful evening, everything changed. It started with a routine check. Ethan was finalizing a financial report for one of the company's high-end properties when he noticed something odd. A minor accounting error in one of the ledgers caught his attention. The system rounded down small, leftover amounts, mere cents in each transaction, leaving unclaimed money floating in the system. For most accountants, this was nothing, just a quirk of financial software. But for Ethan, it was an opportunity. He stared at the numbers, mind racing. What if someone collected those extra cents? Would anyone notice? Ethan ran a few calculations. Every month, thousands of transactions processed through Grayson & Company, with each rounding discrepancy amounting to a few cents. But cumulatively, the total was staggering. If redirected correctly, it could mean tens of thousands of dollars in unnoticed revenue. That night, Ethan went home unable to sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, contemplating the possibility. It was just cents. No one would notice, right? Ethan decided to test it. He created a separate bank account under a pseudonym and devised a simple method to reroute the tiny amounts into it. He transferred 32 cents. Then he waited. A week passed. No emails. No audit alerts. No alarms. The system hadn't flagged it. Emboldened, Ethan tried again. This time he took $5. Still nothing. Over the next few months, he refined his process, making small transfers, tweaking figures so that no financial statements reflected any losses. It was a game of patience. If he moved too fast, he risked exposure. But if he played it right, he could siphon thousands of dollars without anyone ever noticing. And that was exactly what he did. At first, Ethan used the extra money sparingly. He paid off a few lingering debts, bought a better laptop, and treated himself to a rare restaurant meal. Nothing extravagant, just small indulgences. But soon, the money became addictive. Instead of public transport, he started using ride-sharing services. Instead of budget shopping, he splurged on designer shoes. His outdated phone was replaced with the latest model. His once dull apartment gained new furniture, a high-end television, and a sleek espresso machine. To the outside world, nothing about Ethan changed. He still wore the same plain shirts to work, still ate lunch alone, still kept his head down. But behind closed doors, his life was transforming. Then, one day, he got greedy. For 6 years, Ethan had been careful. He had built a system that ensured he never took too much at once, keeping his theft undetectable. But greed has a way of dulling caution. One evening, tired from a long day, Ethan made an error. Instead of skimming his usual small amount, he accidentally withdrew an extra $500 that wasn't properly concealed. It was an uncharacteristic mistake, one he barely noticed in his exhaustion. But someone else did. Sarah Whitmore was a forensic accountant who had recently joined the company. Unlike her predecessors, she was meticulous. She enjoyed digging through records, finding patterns others missed. And something about the numbers at Grayson & Company didn't add up. She noticed minor discrepancies, tiny losses too small to raise alarms but too consistent to be ignored. $1.48 here, $3.22 there. It was always a negligible amount, spread across various transactions. Then she found the $500. That was the red flag. She began cross-referencing transactions, pulling archived reports, digging into digital trails. It didn't take long before a name surfaced. Ethan Caldwell. Sarah didn't go straight to management. She wanted to be sure. Over the next few weeks, she studied Ethan. He never looked like a man who had stolen millions. He was plain, unremarkable. But Sarah trusted the numbers. One evening, she waited for him as he was leaving the office. "Ethan," she said, holding a file. "We need to talk." Ethan's stomach twisted. He knew before she even opened her mouth that it was over. They sat in an empty conference room as Sarah laid out her findings. "You've been here for 12 years, she said, flipping through pages of evidence. "But this started 6 years ago. I want to know why." Ethan stared at the papers. There was no escape. The web he had spun so carefully had finally caught him. Within days, management was informed. Authorities were called. Ethan was arrested at his desk, handcuffed as stunned employees watched. His crime? Embezzlement of over $2.3 million. As the media swarmed the case, headlines painted him as the invisible thief, the accountant who had stolen millions in plain sight. When asked why he did it, Ethan's answer was simple. "Nobody ever noticed me. I wanted to see if they would." Sitting in his prison cell, Ethan reflected on how his crime had never been about the money. It had been about power, the thrill of knowing he was getting away with it while the world remained oblivious. But now everyone noticed him, and it was too late.